thank you so much for watching. Today we have another awesome episode for you. We're going to start out with our inspiration to impact. In these stories, I want you to listen. I want you to really listen and really hear the heart of these stories from those who are coming on to be interviewed. And I want you to be inspired by their story. And I want their story to have an impact on your life. We're going to then move into speaking to your life, where I will allow God to speak through me to you, and then we will move to our community resources, where I will provide resources for your life. I hope that you enjoy the show. Let's get started. I first want to welcome to the show Miss Tiffany Smith. Please give her a hand. Welcome, Tiffany.
Thank you.
It's so good to see her. A former student, former mentee, and I won't even say former. I will always mentor the students and the people, and I always call them student colleagues because they are soon usually my colleagues, just like Tiffany now is a colleague, no longer my student. And I love her just the same, and thank her for coming here to share her story. So again, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
I know that you are doing great things now, and I'm super, super proud of you. I want you to know that. And before we get to all those awesome things, I want you just to tell folks a little bit about you and sort of where you started in life.
Okay, well, again, I'm Tiffany Smith. I'm from a county called Charles City, Virginia. It's very small, country-like, family-oriented. My parents are Todd and Tressie, and I have an identical twin sister. Hi, Tab. And her name is Tabitha. And I went to Charles City High School. I attended all Charles City public schools. And then in undergrad, I attended Hampton University, of course, where you were my professor. And now I'm currently at South University pursuing a master's degree in clinical health, mental health, and counseling.
That's so wonderful, and she's almost done.
Yes.
Okay. And throughout that, I know a little bit about being raised in a small town, and I know when I travel, I have to tell people, like, I'm just from Virginia, or either I have to say Virginia Beach because they don't know where that small town is. So I know about the one elementary school, one middle school, one high school.
Yes.
The bus where you're actually on the bus with, we were on the bus actually with elementary school students while we were in high school, everybody. So that's how you knew everyone. It wasn't split. It just wasn't. So, and there's still cows running around, but everybody knew everybody's business.
Right.
So I understand that.
Definitely.
So, but there are also some things that I think you were able to get as far as inspiration from being from a small town. And in that environment, what sort of pushed you to move from the small town or get out of there so you could do better?
Well, first, from a small, tight-knit community, especially with my church, being that everybody wants to see you do better. And, even with everybody wanting to see you do better, you really have to encourage yourself, too, because it's not but so much people can push you to do. Yes. So even from Charles City, what made me wanted to just do better, because one, it's nothing really there. Mm-hmm. It's people that have so much knowledge, but it's up to you to just continue to push, yourself and just go beyond that. So I think I wanted to just go beyond Charles City, because Charles City is very small, but it's not really, poverty or nothing going on mm-hmm. there. It's like, if I know you, I'm gonna help you out. But so many people, like in, the project area, nobody is really helping them. It's just so close-knit, but
it's the norm.
Right.
They've been there so long that it becomes the norm. The mindset becomes the norm. Even physically, you see, again, I always say children and parents and grandparents sort of staying in the same neighborhood, and if they move, they don't move very far.
Right.
And they want you to do better. They want to see you do better, but they don't know. And if they don't know, how can they help you? They've never gone to college. How can they help you fill out the college application? But thank God for people like you and I who go back and try to help those who are, don't have that type of, information or knowledge.
Right. So I'm very excited because, and a lot of times in Charles City, people, they go to college, but, get their bachelor's degree, but that's it. I'm thinking, you can have education, but what is your purpose in life? What are you fulfilling? So even coming from Charles City, I think I'm still in awe that I'm 24 and just I just want to help and be superwoman for everybody, especially young girls, because I've had so many people to, help me, just push me to do more, in church, not even blood family, not everybody, but just people that you kind of just meet at basketball games and you just start talking to them. So I think that's really what pushed me to just want to do more, because you see so many people crying out for help, but everybody isn't like me that's going to just up and ask, look, I need some help. I need you to help me. So, I kind of encourage them, like, do you need some help? What do you need help with? Even if it's just applying to college application, FAFSA, because in the beginning, if you don't have that help, you get a little lost. And then you kind of get, I don't
discouraged because, so many steps.
Exactly. So I think that's really what made me go further, because I see so many people, even when I was at Hampton University doing Big Brother Big Sister organization, it's so many young kids out here who want the help but don't have like their parents or their grandparents to know any better. So that's what like you and I come involved and help them grow.
Exactly. And I know that you went through a lot of obstacles in life, and even while you were in school and then also while you were an undergraduate, experienced losses in your life, but you've allowed them to actually push you. And so I don't want to speak on them if you don't want to speak on them, but I want to make sure that you're at a place where you're comfortable. And I know that it's not always easy, especially when it's a family member.
Right. So with my mom, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I remember, because I'm so emotional, I think she was very scared to tell me, because she saw me doing well at school. She didn't want nothing to stop me from like graduating or accomplishing my dreams. And I really believe I was the last person to know. So,
my mom does that too.
Right. I don't understand, but I was.
She don't want you to stop.
Right. So I think I was one of the strongest, to be honest, because when she told me, I didn't cry or nothing, but my heart went out to her, because I'm thinking, okay, this is something that we have to get through. Not even that, but me graduating Hampton University, I'm like, I didn't come this far. Right. So, she told me, and she had breast cancer. It wasn't far gone, to the point, the doctors, encouraged her that everything was going to be all right. She had to have surgery, and that the cancer would, prayerfully and hopefully be gone. Yeah. So my mom received a double mastectomy, and after 15 or 16 long hours of surgery, the doctors came in and told me that she was cancer-free. So, so that was very awesome. But for me coming back and forth from Hampton University to Richmond to Charles City, back to Hampton, it was very hard, because I felt like I lost focus on why I was even in school in the first place, because I'm thinking, I just want my mom to be okay. That's just the number one thing.
Mm-hmm. And really, what things like that happen, they actually help you to focus on what's important in life. And you start to say, what really is important. And really, I feel like it made you stronger, not weaker.
Definitely.
It made you stronger as a stronger woman, as a stronger person. And then in knowing you during that time, that was one thing, but you kept going. And then at the end of your Hampton University days, then you had another loss that came and hit you again.
Right. And even with my ex-boyfriend passing, it was very hard for me, because it's like it was in shock. Like, I was young, he wasn't sick. It was just like, a terrible car accident. But when I found out, I think I was like in disbelief in the beginning. I'm thinking, okay, this can't be life. This is not real. And I used to see death all around me happen to other people, but nothing never really hit home to me. So even receiving the loss of my ex, I was in shock and very hurt, because I'm thinking, okay, I really have to move on with life. But I really didn't know how, and I know even being at Hampton University, I was staying on campus at the time. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to go to class. I had lost all motivation and everything. And even I remember going to class, I believe it was statistics that I was in, and I just bust out crying in class, and I had to leave, because I'm thinking, how can I move on in life with this in the back of my mind? And, thankfully, we had just recently talked. But I don't know, it was just such a shock for me. And in the moment, I'm thinking, I'm never going to love again. Life is just, But then, because I have a great relationship with God, I knew that, I would definitely be healed again. I didn't know when, but I knew I had to keep going. And so that's what I did. And even now, I'm thinking, like, when I look back over, all the things, I'm just thinking, wow, like, you know, I'm happy, I'm in a happy place, you know, I love again. Like, so I'm very excited because I think when people go through things, they really don't believe that they can get over it or they can have a great life. Right, so I'm very excited about that, but even with the trials and tribulations, it didn't really set me back too long. And that's one thing I can say. One thing I can say for myself, with anything in life, I have to set a limit. I have limitations and boundaries.
And that's what you should do. You should let yourself be sad, grieve a little bit, you know, and that's okay because that's normal. And some things, you know, when you care about a person, that love never goes away, but you do have to, you know, move forward in life. And so all the great things you're doing now, I love that you're moving forward, looking at medical school, that you're, you know, going to finish up your graduate program, that you have found love again, and that you really, what's most important that I love to see is that you love yourself, you know, and that you're in a beautiful place. And so, again, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show because your story is just your life, but to someone else, it's inspiration. And I want that inspiration, again, to impact somebody else's life. Give her a hand, Ms. Tiffany Smith.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. We'll be right back. It's now time for me to speak into your life. Today's topic is, it's all for your good. You heard earlier from my guest in the Inspiration Impact story. I want you to know it's all for your good. Some things happen to us in our lives and we just don't understand it. But I want you to know that the Bible says that all things work together for the good of those who serve him. Do you serve him? Because I serve him. I trust him. Do you believe in him? Do you believe that he can work it all out for your good? There's somebody out there who's going through something in your life right now. Some things are really difficult for you to understand. You don't understand why you're going through it. You don't know why it's happening to you. But I want you to understand that you don't have to understand the why. You don't have to understand how you're going to get through it. You just have to have faith that you will get through it. I need you to know that all things are working together for your good. It made me think about, as I was thinking about this topic, the lady in the Bible, the woman in the Bible who had only a little bit of oil and only a little bit of meal, and she was going to eat and die. And there's somebody out there who's saying, I only have a little bit of money. I only have a little bit of food left over. I only have a little something. I want you to give it over to God. Whatever that problem is, whatever that situation you're going through, I want you to give it over because I don't want you to die. There's somebody out there also who's thinking about suicide. And not just suicide as in I want to hurt myself or harm myself, but you've told God, if I were to die today, it would be okay. And I want you to know it's not your time. It's not your time to leave this earth, that God has a way of turning things around for those who serve him. It's meant for your good. He's going to turn that bad situation into a good situation. I need you to hold on a little while longer. I need you to have faith. I need you to have belief and understand it's all for your good. No matter what you're going through, it's all for your good. He has a way of sending someone by. And I thank God because I believe that the reason you're watching this show right now is that he's sending me by to inspire you, to educate you, to empower you. It's all for your good. Don't give up now. God bless you. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's now time for our community resources. I have with me the talented Dr. Nancy Welch, who has written this awesome book, Healing Emotional Wounds. Welcome, Dr. Welch, to the show.
Oh, glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad that you could come. I think what we're going to talk about fits in perfectly with what we've been talking about on the show earlier. And so from our inspirational story to my speaking to your life and now to healing emotional wounds, tell me a little bit about what inspired you to write this book.
Actually, my children inspired me to write the book because the background is in my mid-50s. I was single, well-established professional. Someone suggested I adopt children, and it from there was a calling, something I had never really thought of. And I was led to Ukraine, where I adopted 2 6-year-old children. My daughter had been found on the streets. She'd been abused. She had been adopted, taken to the orphanage, then adopted by an Italian family and brought back because of her violence. She describes herself as a savage, and she probably was, because all the street skills helped her survive, but they weren't civil skills. And my son had been born premature, not thought that he would live, but he did. The mother abandoned him in the hospital. He was taken to the orphanage. He was very emaciated and very delayed. But people ask, how did you choose the children? Because I actually lived in Ukraine for 6 weeks. I did it through a private adoption because I wanted to choose the children. I just knew we were meant to be a family. There's no other way to describe it. And the judge tried to dissuade me because of all the problems with Lena. But I just knew we were meant to be a family. And indeed, I'm very glad that I did. There have been lots and lots of problems with my daughter, especially, who was in residential care in Lynchburg for 20 months, has been hospitalized several times. 911's been to my house several times. There's been lots and lots of ongoing struggles. We've been through lots and lots of therapy, but they're very proud of how far they've come.
Yes.
They're still traveling a rocky road, but they're proud of how far they've come, and we've both met a lot of children and families who were discouraged, who didn't have the support that we had.
Yes.
And so they wanted people to know there's hope.
Yes. And there is. And I'm just so proud of you. And because, there still are some people who, say, I'm not going to choose the easy road, and not that you chose it because it was a struggle or it was difficult, but you said, this is something I want to help with. God has given me a heart to do this and to choose these children. I will raise them. And it sounds like there was no doubt between, I don't want to do foster care. I want to adopt these children. Right. And so you've chosen them. You've written this book about healing emotional wounds. What were some of the emotional wounds that you would pull out of your situation that you've put in this book?
Well, there was actually, they helped me grow as well as them. I think their emotional wounds were probably more obvious.
Yes.
My daughter is bipolar, and we're involved in some rocky stuff now where we're looking for a diagnosis, and my son is Asperger's. But so they of course had a lot to learn about trust, about family. They didn't know any of those things. So there were a lot of emotional wounds there that we had to work on. But also for me, I as an independent professional had to learn to ask for help.
Yes.
Because we're not accustomed to that.
And so many pieces to this story. I can hear, you need the support. You are a go-getter. You're strong, yes, but there's so many pieces of support that's needed to make them whole and also to keep you whole.
Right, and I had to, in my former life, I was a pediatrician. I'm now public health, so I had to learn to not be embarrassed or ashamed about the behaviors of my children, but to focus on what they needed and to set aside that professional side where I think I'm supposed to be perfect, right?
The professional pride.
Right, and to ask for help and to know that it's not a weakness,
exactly,
but it really is the way that you show that you love your child because you're focused on what they need.
Exactly.
And I had to be willing to understand that laughter trumps anger most of the time because there are some things just aren't as important as we think they are, or as the books tell you they are, or whatever. So I had to learn that and had to think outside of the box.
Yes.
And it doesn't make any difference. It's not in the books.
No.
There are no rule books on a lot of this.
Books. None of the psychology and counseling books.
Right. You just think outside the box. And I had to truly, truly believe and sustain that belief, and in that belief know there's hope.
Yeah, and I think you found the most important thing, which is family. And so I applaud you for that and for this wonderful book. Please tell us where people can find this book.
Sure, you can find it on Amazon. There's paperback, there's hardback, there's ebooks, there's also audiobooks, and I welcome any opportunities. I don't charge honorariums. I just am pleased to speak with any group, small, big, because I've learned there are a lot of people out there who think they're alone.
A lot of people who are hurting. Well, I will be calling you again. So thank you, Dr. Nancy Welch.
Thank you.
I know that there are some people that need to hear this story, and we'll talk more about that. Thank you so much for watching It's Life Changing. I hope that today's messages and this word will inspire you to change your life. God bless you.